Okay, who's ready for brows? Okay, so to start out, I have pretty decent brows, so I don't have to do a whole lot to mine, but the same technique can be used for your brows if you have more sparse brows or ones that, you know, don't end where they're supposed to. These tips and tricks will still definitely work, but if you need more specific brow advice, more tailored to your brows, let me know and we can get there. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a light brown in my brow, this color here. I have pretty dark brows, so I don't need a whole lot of color added to mine, so I don't really focus on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just brush my brows kind of into the shape I want them. So I want the front hairs to be standing straight up, and then as I go, I kind of angle them a little bit more to build an arch right here, and then these guys get brushed down. Now one thing, sorry, I just realized I look really shiny. I'm not, it's my light. If you don't know what shape your brow is supposed to be, a good rule of thumb is this is going to show you where your brow should start. If you go from the corner of your nose through your pupil, that's going to show you where your arch should be. And then the corner of your nose to the corner of your eye is going to tell you where your brows should go or end. So I get my brows threaded, so I don't really ever have to worry about plucking and getting them taken care of. But if you do it on your own, that's kind of a good rule of thumb as to what shape of brow you should have for your face. Now I'm going to use an angled liner brush now that I have my brow kind of brushed the way I want it, and I'm going to just pick up a tiny bit of color and then tap off any excess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the under part of my brow first. So I'm just going to take this, and it's okay for the under side of your brow to be more of a harsh line. You can even go in with some concealer to make it an even harsher line and clean it up really, really tight if that's what you like. Or, you know, if you don't want as harsh of a line, then you don't have to have one. But I like pretty dramatic brows, so. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm gonna go pick up a little bit more color, and I'm gonna take my brush vertically and use it to kind of undefine that line and smooth it into the rest of my brows a little bit. And I'm doing this completely blind because I don't have my contacts in, so bear with me. Okay, so you can see now the difference between my two brows is starting to build. So now, before I do the top of my brow, I'm actually going to brush all of my brow hairs down, and that's going to give me a better idea of where to line the top part of my brow without overlining it. And to do the top part of my brow, I'm actually going to use a slightly thicker angled brush because it's going to create more of a diffused line instead of a really sharp line. And when I do the top line of my brow, I only start about here and back. I don't actually do the front of my brow because I want it to look really natural. So then, once I'm done filling in my brow, I'm going to use my spoolie to just put the hairs back where I want them to keep that shape. I'm going to take the 10 Years Younger setting spray and just spray my spoolie and then run that through my brows, and that's going to set my brows so that they don't get rubbed off during the day and keep my hairs where I want them. So now that that's done, I can go in and do my other brow. And this brow is not shaped the same, and I'm still working on perfecting getting them the same. So like I always say, my brows, everyone always says brows are sisters, not twins, and I always say mine are more like cousins because Sometimes you can tell they're related and sometimes not. So. So just go back in vertically, kind of fill in. This brow is not as, it's more sparse than my other brow, so I have to actually fill it in a little bit more, like up here. I don't know why. They just don't cooperate. And then sometimes I actually go in, I'm not doing it now, but when I do the top of my brow, sometimes I use a slightly lighter shade than I do on the bottom, just for less of a dramatic look again. Okay, so then again, just brush them back into place. Helps kind of create that arch. And then set it with the setting spray. And voila. They are not twins, as I said, but they are done, and they're just going to help define my face a little bit, and then we can move on to eyeshadow.